Hello everybody, Tank here from Discovery Park, and I noticed something. We have a Universal Studios park coming to Beijing. And since no one really wants me to talk about Universal's Epic Universe so late, and since no one cares about 20th Century Fox World, even though I'm making a video about it, I am going to talk about Universal Studios Beijing. Even though, what is it going to be?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
I am happy that they at least are building a theme park in mainstream China, and it won't be overshadowed by Disney, which I think they could have built one in Hong Kong, as it would still outnumber Hong Kong Disney by a long shot. But of course they could not compete with Shanghai Disney without it being kind of like Orlando, where it's just a big mess. But they did choose Beijing, which is a smart idea, and including I think the IPs in there was also pretty smart. And since now, let's go into deep dive of Universal Studios Beijing, which has plans to open in spring of 2021. Here's a quick side note. This map I am showing right here is an edited map of what I found of the plans they have, but I ended up putting them into format so it's more easily read. But obviously a lot of this is off the speculation of the plans. As you enter the park through the Universal Gateway Arch, which obviously would say Universal Studios Beijing, I mean, what else do you think you're going to walk under? The Legoland entrance? But anyways, the entrance area is Hollywood. It's like to feature lots of retail areas and guest services, but there are two expansion pads, one on the southern part and one on the far western side of it. There looks like to be an attraction, looks like to be indoor, not the Hollywood ride Rocket, which probably is a good thing. There also looks to be a lot of stage shows and three facilities for restaurants or diners. The expansions, one of them could house maybe a fourth restaurant, and the other one could maybe house another attraction. But the attraction here looks to possibly be an e-ticket. So that's really it, with bathrooms all over the place. Now we travel up north from Hollywood to the Transformers land. I do think this is pretty smart, as Transformers is really successful in China, no matter how bad the films are. But it looks like there are three rides here. An incredible Hulk coaster clone from Universal's Islands of Adventure, but with a coat of black paint on it, which I think was a smart idea, as the Transformers ride is basically a clone of Amazing Spider-Man, which also is in the same land of the Hulk coaster. But anyways, and it does look like we'll have a Transformers ride, because why wouldn't they? And the third attraction looks to be a spinner attraction, maybe a Astro Orbiters, but instead you ride inside a Transformer. That's probably going to be for every ride. And it looks like there's an expansion for possibly another restaurant or maybe another e-ticket, as the Transformers universe is expanding if the movies succeed well. If I'm correct, Bumblebee did not do too well at the box office, but did a lot better than most people would have hoped, considering how bad the Transformers movies have become. I've not seen many Transformers movies. I've only seen the first one, which is pretty good. I've heard Bumblebee was pretty good, but I think this will be well appreciated, as the people of China really love Transformers, like how they love Tron. And then to the east side of the Transformers land, we have a Kung Fu Panda land themed to the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, if it stays a trilogy, from DreamWorks Animation. It looks like to feature, from the plans, I didn't copy all of the plans, but looks like we might get an indoor roller coaster, kiddie coaster, and a few small kiddie rides. Looks like we'll get a spinner attraction, maybe a few others, and hopefully we could eat those plump foods from the Kung Fu Panda series. It looks like we might have like a weird walk-around show from the plans. It does show that the whole outside area, outside of the roller coaster, is within an area of a show, so they might have like a walk-around show or something. This looks to be a pretty small land, but I really think this is a good idea. I don't know how well the Kung Fu Panda films did in China, but I do like them. I've seen the first and the third. I do think they were pretty funny and good. I'm happy they're doing this, which I think it was pretty smart. Then, as we go around the park clockwise, we find a mini land dedicated to Waterworld, that movie that sunk at the box office in the early 2000s. I think this is not because of the success of the movie. It wasn't. I think it's because the stunt show that they have is pretty popular, which I think was pretty funny. The movie failed. I do like the stunt show. I've seen it. I think it's way on a higher level to others. And I think it's pretty fun, besides the fact it doesn't make sense in a weird way. Looks like we will get a restaurant there as well. That's really it. I'm happy we're getting the stunt show there, as we normally get at every single park. Alongside the next land, which here we are just about to talk about. Then now, we are at Hogsmeade for another time. Hogsmeade is being put in Universal Studios Beijing, as it's at just about every single Universal park. I'm pretty sure it's at every single Universal park. We will obviously have Forbidden Journey and Flight of Hippogriff with Butterbeer. Haven't had it. There's a few things that we don't know what they're used for, but looks like we won't have Dragon Challenge there, which makes sense because when they were probably planning this, they were planning the Hagrid coaster coming to Islands of Adventure at the time, which has just recently opened and was a big hit. And it's within this expansion pad on the northern part of the land. I think they might actually plan the Hagrid coaster for a phase 2, as Hagrid coaster is a favorite. So far, it's been a big hit. And then on the southern part, we have an even bigger expansion pad, which could maybe fit a Diagon Alley or Escape from Gringotts attraction. I think we can't do that because they're way too close to each other. The two lands might ruin the immersion, but I think we might instead get a Fantastic Beasts attraction, which I think will be really fun, as we are getting one at Epic Universe with lots of speculation of many things. But I think we could get the rumored furnace teleporting thing. I don't remember what it's called again. I'm happy we got Hogsmeade again, as that's always enjoying to have. But still, no dueling dragons, which sadly won't happen. Then, before we get to the last land, we are now at Minions Land. Banana. So anyways, we are getting a Minion Land, which it looks like to have Despicable Me Minion Mayhem at Gru's house from the concept art alongside, as it is at every Universal park it's at. And then there's what could be a kiddie coaster or some sort of ride. I remember seeing this one piece of concept art with a kiddie coaster like going around the weird building. Then the final land of this park is a Jurassic World themed area. It looks to have 2 attractions. One, a possible thrill coaster, which could be a terrain-hugging one. It won't be the Velocicoaster coming to Florida in 2021 with the Jurassic World 3 film, still untitled. I'm excited for it. It looks to be probably in the middle between the Hulk coaster and the Kung Fu Panda coaster, as it only looks like to maybe just feature 1 or 2 loops in it, including the size. It's pretty small. It's just on the edge of the lake. And then the other attraction doesn't look like to be the River Adventure from Hollywood. That possibly could be a problem, but I do think the ride at Hollywood is way underwhelming because it really felt cheap. Even though I do know the Universal creative people probably put a lot of attention into it, I do think it's still a pretty fun ride, just like the Jurassic Park one. But it looks like we might instead have an indoor, maybe a trackless attraction. We haven't really seen any patents, or out of what I can find. We could be getting a gyrosphere ride. This might just be a trackless dark ride, as I have not found any patents at all. But really, that's all we have for Universal Studios Beijing. But then you forgot something. Lake. You've seen it everywhere. Here, not here. And Universal Studios Divineland never really gone. But anyways, I think you're signing off from Discovery Park.